My dear friends, my friend, have you ever stopped to think about how something as small as a single word can shape the way people see you? Imagine pouring your heart into a conversation, your ideas shining bright, your passion on fire, yet one tiny mispronounced word makes the listener pause, doubt, or even dismiss what you're saying. That's not because your thoughts weren't powerful, but because the delivery didn't match the strength of your message. Words are not just sounds, they are bridges. They connect your mind to someone else's understanding. And if the bridge is weak, the connection is broken. Now, let's be real. Mispronouncing common English words doesn't make you less intelligent. No, it doesn't define your worth. But what it does is create unnecessary barriers between you and your opportunity. Success often knocks at the door dressed in communication. The way you speak can either open that door wide or leave it just slightly cracked, making it harder for people to see your brilliance. Think about it. Have you ever admired someone who spoke with clarity, precision, and confidence? Didn't their words make you lean in, listen deeper, and trust stronger? That's the power of getting it right. But here's the truth. You don't have to be perfect. Nobody expects perfection. What matters is awareness. What matters is your commitment to learn, to practice, to polish. Every time you choose to correct a mispronounced word, you're not just fixing sound, you're building respect. You're telling the world, I care about how I'm understood. I care about how I present myself. I value my message enough to deliver it well. And when you take communication seriously, the world takes you seriously. So ask yourself today, are you letting little mistakes hold back your big dreams, or are you ready to sharpen every tool you've been given, including your voice? Remember this, your ideas deserve to be heard, your story deserves to be told, and your message deserves to travel without stumbling over preventable errors. Speak with confidence, speak with clarity, and you will discover that sometimes the difference between being ignored and being remembered is simply the way you pronounce a single word. Clarity creates confidence, and you know it the very moment you hear someone speak with power, with precision, and with a voice that doesn't stumble. Something inside you trusts them, something inside you believes them, and you lean closer because their words carry weight. But here's the truth. Clarity isn't about using fancy vocabulary or impressing people with complicated sentences. It's about being understood. When your words are clear, your message cuts through noise, through doubt, through hesitation, and it lands straight in the heart of the listener. And when you're understood, you feel more confident because you no longer worry if people got your point. Imagine standing in a room full of people, sharing your vision, and instead of confusion, you see heads nodding, eyes connecting, and hearts agreeing. That's what clarity does. It gives you confidence, not because you're perfect, but because you are being heard the way you intended. Think about how many times fear has crept in, not because you didn't know what to say, but because you weren't sure if you would say it right. Mispronounced words, unclear delivery, rushing through sentences. These little things steal your power. But when you slow down, when you pronounce every word with intention, when you choose clarity over speed, something shifts. Your voice grows stronger, your body feels lighter, and your message grows louder. You stop worrying about mistakes and start focusing on impact. That is the moment confidence begins to flow through you. Confidence doesn't come first, it's the result of clarity. When you master being clear, you'll find the courage you were searching for was already there, waiting for the right voice to unlock it. Now, let's be honest, nobody is born with perfect clarity. We've all stumbled, we've all been misunderstood, and we've all had those moments where people laughed, questioned, or ignored what we said. But here's the difference. Some people stay stuck in that fear, while others decide to rise above it. They decide to practice until their words flow like music. They decide to record themselves, to repeat, to learn, to adjust until what they say matches what they mean. And with every practice, every correction, every little victory, their confidence grows. Because confidence doesn't fall from the sky. It is built brick by brick, word by word, choice by choice. The more clarity you create, the more confident you become, and the more confident you become, the more unstoppable you are. That cycle builds momentum, and momentum builds influence. So ask yourself, what's holding you back from clarity? Is it fear of being judged, fear of sounding wrong, or fear of not being enough? The truth is, people aren't waiting for you to be perfect. They're waiting for you to be clear. They're waiting to hear your message without distraction, without distortion, without doubt. And when you give them that, they give you something in return: respect, trust, and attention. That's why clarity creates confidence, because it gives you control over your communication, over your influence, over your presence. Imagine walking into every room with a voice that doesn't shake, with words that don't crumble, with a message that doesn't fade. That's not just speaking, that's leading, and it all begins when you choose clarity. Respect rides on your words, and it is something you can feel the moment you speak. People may see you before they know you, but it is your words that decide whether they honor you or dismiss you. Think about it. Every conversation you have is not just an exchange of sounds. It's a reflection of your discipline, your effort, and your seriousness. When you speak with clarity, when your pronunciation is sharp and your tone is respectful, you build credibility without even asking for it. But when your words are careless, when you let mistakes repeat without correcting them, people don't just hear the error. They start questioning your commitment, and here's the truth. The world respects those who respect themselves enough to polish their voice. Every word you speak is like a key. It can unlock trust, open opportunities, and strengthen connections, or it can close doors that may never open again. Now, you and I both know respect isn't handed out for free. Respect is earned brick by brick, moment by moment, and word by word. You cannot control everything in life, but you can control how you deliver your message. Your words carry your reputation. They reveal whether you pay attention, whether you care about details, and whether you value the people listening to you. Have you ever noticed how one wrong word can break the atmosphere of an important meeting, while one right phrase can inspire a whole room? That's the weight your words carry. When you invest in speaking correctly, when you give effort to pronounce words the right way, you're not just learning language. You're showing respect to your audience. And respect given will always circle back as respect earned. But here's the secret: respect doesn't just come from being flawless, it comes from being intentional. People forgive mistakes, but they admire effort. When you stumble and correct yourself, when you practice and grow, when you show progress, people lean in and listen because they can see you care. Respect rides on your words not because they're perfect, but because they show who you are on the inside. Are you the kind of person who shrugs off mistakes, or the kind who values growth? Are you the kind who lets sloppiness define them, or the kind who demands excellence from themselves? Every time you choose to improve your speech, you're proving to yourself and to others that your words matter. And when your words matter, you matter more in every room you step into. So let me ask you this: are your words lifting you up or holding you back? Are they opening the respect of others, or are they quietly closing it without you realizing? Because respect is not always spoken, it's felt. When you deliver your message with care, people don't just hear you, they feel your seriousness, your discipline, and your authority. Respect doesn't travel on titles, wealth, or appearance nearly as much as it does on words. That's why you must guard your words like treasure, because they are your first impression, your lasting memory, and your constant introduction to the world. Respect rides on your words, so make them strong, make them clear, and make them worthy of the respect you desire. Practice turns mistakes into mastery, and if you've ever felt the sting of embarrassment after saying something wrong, you know how heavy that moment can feel. Maybe people laughed, maybe they corrected you, maybe you walked away replaying that word again and again in your head. But let me tell you this: those moments are not failures, they are invitations. Invitations to rise, to polish, to grow. Every mistake you make while speaking is not proof that you're weak. It's proof that you're trying. And when you keep trying, when you refuse to settle for the same mistakes, something begins to shift. Your tongue grows sharper, your ear grows keener, and your confidence grows stronger. Mastery is not the absence of mistakes. It is the result of overcoming them through relentless practice. Think of a child learning to walk. They stumble, they fall, they scrape their knees, but they don't stop. They rise again and again until one day walking becomes so natural they don't even think about it. The same is true with your words. At first you will stumble. At first you will sound unsure. At first you may even feel clumsy. But every practice session is a step forward. Every repetition is a muscle built. Every correction is a seed planted. And one day, the very words that once tripped you up will flow from your mouth like second nature. That's the miracle of practice. It takes your weakness and slowly turns it into your greatest strength. But here's the key. You must be willing to embrace practice as a daily discipline, not a one-time effort. Too many people quit when they don't see instant results. They mispronounce once, twice, 10 times and give up, saying, "This isn't for me." But mastery belongs to the persistent, not the impatient. Every master speaker you admire once stood where you are, uncertain, stumbling, misunderstood. The only difference is they chose to practice when others quit. They repeated words until their tongue obeyed. They listened carefully until their ears caught the smallest detail. They refused to let mistakes define them, and instead allowed those mistakes to refine them. That's why practice is not punishment, it's preparation. It's the bridge that carries you from frustration to fluency. So ask yourself, what are you doing with your mistakes? Are you hiding from them, or are you using them as fuel to grow? Are you allowing them to silence you, or are you letting them sharpen you? Because mastery isn't a gift given to a chosen few. It's the reward for those who practice until their weakness transforms into strength. And the beauty is, once you reach that mastery, the same people who once corrected you will now look up to you. The same words that once held you back will now push you forward. And the same mistakes that once embarrassed you will now stand as the stepping stones that made you great. That's why you must never fear mistakes, because practice turns mistakes into mastery, and mastery will open doors your silence never could. Your voice shapes your opportunity, and whether you realize it or not, the way you speak often decides how the world responds to you. Think about it. Opportunities don't always come wrapped in a neat package. They often arrive as conversations, interviews, meetings, or unexpected encounters where your words are the first and sometimes only representation of who you are. Your qualifications may be strong, your intentions may be pure, but if your voice wavers with uncertainty or stumbles with careless mistakes, that moment may slip away. It's not because you weren't capable, but because your voice didn't carry the weight of your ability. On the other hand, when you speak with clarity, confidence, and conviction, doors swing open. People listen longer, trust faster, and believe stronger because your voice painted the picture of someone ready for more. Your voice is not just sound, it's your signature. It leaves an impression that lingers long after the conversation ends. Some people are remembered not for what they wore, but for how they spoke. Their words carried authority, warmth, and strength. And here's the powerful truth. You don't need to have the loudest voice, but you do need to have a clear one. A clear voice tells people you believe in what you're saying. A clear voice tells people you respect them enough to deliver your message with care. And a clear voice tells the world you are not afraid to take up space. Opportunity doesn't just find the most talented, it finds the most prepared, and preparation is often revealed in your ability to communicate without fear. But let's be honest, it's not always easy. Maybe you've been ignored in conversations, maybe you've been laughed at for mispronouncing words, or maybe you've stayed silent in rooms where you had something valuable to say. Those moments can cut deep, but they are not the end. They are reminders that your voice needs to be strengthened, not silenced. Every time you practice your delivery, every time you refine your pronunciation, every time you push yourself to speak when it feels uncomfortable, you're building the foundation for bigger opportunities. Because here's the secret. Opportunities often show up disguised as tests. The job interview that requires you to articulate your story. The presentation that demands your clarity. The conversation that calls for your confidence. Your voice is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be, and if you strengthen it, it will carry you farther than you can imagine. So, my friend, never underestimate the power of your voice. It can either be the barrier that blocks your opportunities or the force that unlocks them. Don't let fear, mistakes, or past failures convince you that your words don't matter. They do. Your future may very well depend on your ability to stand up, speak up, and show up with a voice that reflects the greatness inside you. Every opportunity you dream of, whether it's success in your career, impact in your relationships, or influence in your community, will demand that you use your voice. And when you choose to sharpen it, to honor it, to own it, you will discover that your voice doesn't just shape your opportunity, it shapes your destiny.